Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to today's video. This episode will guide you through the issues of the Uncanny X-Men published by Marvel Comics in 1975. Issue number 95. Count Nefaria has the world in a stranglehold. If all the nations don't pay up, he will unleash the full fury of NORAD's nuclear arsenal. The newly formed X-Men went out on a mission to try and stop him, but before they could reach him, Count Nefaria and his mutant-hating Any-Men were onto them and destroyed their modified Blackbird by firing missiles at them from the NORAD base. And in a few seconds, they will all be dead as they are flying through the air and are falling to their deaths. Their leader, Cyclops, is trying to think of a way to save them all. Everything that has happened in the past couple of minutes flashes through his mind. From the call they had received from his former teammate the Beast, informing them about Count Nefaria's plans, to how they rushed out to the NORAD base. But when they arrived there, they got shot out of the sky twice by Nefaria, leaving them in their current predicament. He then tells Storm and the Banshee to listen up, and tells them to grab a pair of X-Men and head for the ground. He then tells Nightcrawler to teleport to the ground as well, but Kurt tells him that yes, he can teleport, but he will be squashed immediately, due to the loss of conservation of energy, meaning that he will materialize with the same velocity he started with before teleporting. Storm tells Kurt to not worry about it, because she can easily carry him and Colossus at the same time. Colossus in turn tells her that he can get down on his own and that she should grab Wolverine instead. Storm tells Colossus to not be a fool, but Cyclops tells Storm that there's no time to argue and to get going. Banshee grabs Thunderbird, but has to tell Cyclops that he can't carry the both of them, and that he will have to come back for him. Cyclops tells him to not take too long about it, as he is left behind falling to his death all alone. Colossus is the first one to land because of gravity and his immense weight, but it's not a subtle landing at all. When the dust settles, he's nowhere to be seen, and Banshee fears that he might have killed himself. As Storm lands and brings Wolverine and Nightcrawler to the ground, Wolverine calls Colossus a nut, and Storm calls out for Colossus, asking if he's alright. But he tells them that he is doing fine and asks what took them all so long. Time though is running out for Cyclops, as he's getting close to the ground below and he starts to break a sweat. Realizing that this might be it, he never figured it would end for him like this. But it doesn't though, as Banshee is able to grab him and pull him up right before he crashes. Banshee then jokes around a bit, but Cyclops tells him to get serious because they have work to do, getting straight back to the task at hand. He tells his team of X-Men that they have less than 1 hour to get inside the base and deactivate the Doomsmith system, before it fires the full United States strategic arsenal. Thunderbird asks Cyclops how he plans on getting inside while calling him One Eye. And Cyclops tells him that he has a way to get inside alright, and tells him to not call him One Eye anymore but use his actual codename. He then tells Nightcrawler to teleport ahead and look for one of the server's access hatches, from which the missiles get fired. And Kurt tells him it's as good as done, and teleports away, leaving behind smoke and the stench of brimstone as he does. He materializes again inside the base, in the maintenance tunnel, and as he wonders how he will be able to find the missile base Cyclops spoke of, he gets attacked from behind by the frogman of the Any-Men, also known as Croaker, who tells him he should be worrying about staying alive instead. Surprised at Nightcrawler still being conscious after his attack, he attacks him again, saying that Nefaria wants them all dead. Kurt is able to jump out of the way and tells him that if that's what Nefaria wants, his agents will have to do a better job at it. Kurt tells him he doesn't want to hurt him and keeps calling him a frog. Croaker is getting angry because of that, saying that he doesn't need any help stomping Kurt into the ground. Kurt teleports away, to the Any-Man's surprise, and appears right behind him, taps on his shoulder and punches him out cold. Kurt then continues his search for his teammates and drags Croaker along with him, planning to interrogate him later. Nefaria is watching all this unfold on the security cameras and curses Croaker for attacking Nightcrawler by himself. He should have called in for help instead. The Catman tells Nefaria to not worry about it, since the rest of them can take Nightcrawler out easily. But Nefaria tells him to leave Nightcrawler be because he has other surprises in store for the X-Men. With only 43 minutes left, Nightcrawler has found the missile base Cyclops told him to look for. As Nightcrawler is focusing on the manual override controls, the Frogman escapes. But Kurt manages to open up the hatch and let the other X-Men inside the base. Nightcrawler informs Cyclops about his former prisoner, the Talking Frogman, getting away. But Cyclops says that they can't do anything about that now anymore. They all make mistakes and they had better focus on getting to the command post right now. While they are on their way, Banshee asks Cyclops if it's just him or if it's really getting stuffy inside. John tells Scott that Sean has a point, because he's starting to feel woozy as well. And then, before they can properly react, a certain kind of gas envelops them, choking, blistering and blinding them, tearing at their skin like some kind of acid, tearing at their minds as well, but it will all be over soon enough. Unless they can still do something about it. Cyclops then tells the X-Men to smash their way through the wall and into the next tunnel. Their combined powers are too much for the complex sturdiness. It was designed to withstand anything. A nuclear war, biological holocaust, even an impact from a meteor. But the architects did not include the combined power of the X-Men in their designs. As they have made their way through to the next tunnel, the countdown timer is down to 35 minutes. They now see soldiers coming at them, and they do not look friendly at all. They immediately start firing their rifles and Colossus steps in the way, telling his teammates to get behind him, as he's shielding them from the bullets with his armored body. With the bullets coming at them from the front and the gas catching up to them from behind, the X-Men find themselves between a rock and a hard place. Cyclops tells his team that he does not want them to hurt the soldiers. They seem to have been hypnotized and are not responsible for their attack. Following Cyclops' orders, Storm starts to use her powers and flushes the soldiers out, by conjuring up a heavy rainstorm which creates a flood all the way down the lengthy corridor. It totally clears out all of the soldiers, and they are no longer an obstacle for the X-Men. But this tactic did not rid them of the threat of the Any-Man. The Ape-Man and the Catman are attacking them from above, with Gord jumping on top of Thunderbird and throwing him towards Banshee. John tries to warn Banshee of what's happening, but it's too late. Two of the X-Men easily taken care of. The other Any-Man attack and Nightcrawler instantly recognizes Frogman. He tells Cyclops that this is the enemy he fought before. Cyclops knows that they don't have any time to be gentle with them, and tells the rest of the X-Men to take them down and take them down hard. This is easier said than done though, because even though the fight is equal in numbers, the Any-Men have not been gassed unlike the X-Men have been, and are eager for the kill, whereas the X-Men are not. Basically, the X-Men find themselves weakened, fatigued, and are surprised by the sheer ferocity of the ambush. It all takes a deadly toll and the battle quickly goes against the X-Men. The Catman attacks Wolverine, throws him into debris and tells him his claws aren't fake like his and they can kill him. But as he moves in for the kill, Colossus interrupts him and grabs him by the arm, telling him that Wolverine will not be killed or harmed as long as he lives. He returns the favor and quickly smashes the Catman into debris and electronic devices instead. Nightcrawler is trying to attack the Frogman, but he's more wary of Nightcrawler's skill this time around, so he jumps in the air, evading Nightcrawler's attack. But it doesn't do him any good because Cyclops immediately blasts him out of the air with his eye beam. Kurt thanks Scott for his assistance, and as he wants to tell him that it's his pleasure, Scott himself gets attacked from the air by the Birdman, who grabs him with his talons and flies out of there, with Cyclops as his prisoner. Or at least he tries to do that. Nightcrawler then uses acrobatics, which he is well versed in after having spent years as a trapeze artist in a circus, and maneuvers himself right above the Birdman and kicks him in his back with both of his feet, resulting in the Birdman letting go of Cyclops. With 3 of his friends having been taken out, the Ape-Man Gord goes berserk and says that he will kill all of his enemies now. He approaches Cyclops, Nightcrawler and Wolverine, but gets easily attacked by Storm with a lightning bolt instead. To both Wolverine and Nightcrawler's surprise, Gord is still standing up, so they team up on him and punch him at the same time. The only Any-Man still left now is Dragonfly, who figures she'd best flee the scene to return to Count Nefaria to warn him. As she flies past Cyclops, she hypnotizes him, and Scott seems to not be able to keep her out of his mind. His eyes go blank and open wide behind his ruby quartz visor, with the visor shielding opening and releasing his optic blast from its cage, with very predictable results, namely Dragonfly getting hit with a full blast, and thus ends the battle between the X-Men and the Animan. All that is left now is dealing with Count Nefaria himself, with only just minutes left on the Doomsmith countdown timer. Scott looks around and asks Wolverine where Banshee and Thunderbird are, and Wolverine tells him that they are still out cold from Gord's attack. Scott figures that they will have to leave them behind, because there's not enough time left to wake them up. They just have to focus their attention on getting to Nefaria and disarming the Doomsmith system. They make their way through the rest of the base, but the place is huge. By the time they've made their way through all the corridors and arrive at the control room, there are only 9 minutes left on the Doomsmith self-destruct circuit. There is no way they'll be able to shut it off in time. In the meantime, Sean and John have woken up to quiet the mess and the knocked out bodies of the Animan. They look around and figure their teammates must have gone through quite the battle. Somewhere else in the mountain, in Valhalla's hangar levels, Nefaria is making his way to one of the fighter planes, knowing that the X-Men will not be able to enjoy the victory with their deaths looming overhead. Once the self-destruct timer is run out, this mountain and everyone still in it will be blown to bits and pieces, and Nefaria himself will be long gone. But not if the Banshee and Thunderbird can stop him. As Nefaria lifts off, he tells the mutants who are chasing him that they can't stop him. Thunderbird knows that if Nefaria manages to leave, there's nothing inside this base to stop him. In a desperate attempt, he runs and tries to jump on the plane, and he is successful in doing so. Sean tells him to not do this, asking him if he's gone insane, but John is not backing down. He's going to stop Count Nefaria, whatever it takes. Banshee then goes airborne as well, and follows the aircraft, yelling to Thunderbird to get himself off the plane. Sean can easily take out the plane by unleashing a sonic scream, but before he does, John will have to get off the plane. Back inside the base, Cyclops is still trying to stop the self-destruct timer, as Wolverine tells him that they will have to leave now. Cyclops asks Wolverine how far he thinks they will actually be able to make it, in only 5 minutes, because that is how much time they actually have left. Scott has to try and shut down the system. But then he gets interrupted by a telepathic projection of an angry Xavier, asking Cyclops what he thinks he's doing. Scott wants to tell him about the self-destruct sequence, but Xavier tells him that the Doomsmith device is totally out of commission. During their battle with the Animan, all the command relays and backups have gotten wrecked. The timer might still be showing a countdown, but nothing really works anymore. But enough of that, Xavier says, as he tells Cyclops to get everyone outside as quickly as possible, because one of their teammates is in mortal danger. They rush out as fast as they can, but the situation outside is escalating. Thunderbird has now smashed the cockpit, and Nefaria tells John that he is a madman, and that his actions will kill them both. Xavier telepathically contacts John and tells him to get off the plane now, before it's too late. But John tells Xavier to butt out and calls him a baldy. He tells Xavier that he's done with taking orders. He has been a loner all of his life, an outcast, dumped on by everyone he's ever met, but he says that he's a man, an Apache warrior, and today he will prove just that, as he keeps on smashing the cockpit. Banshee begs him to please just get off the plane, but John just tears everything up inside the cockpit. The control systems, computers, electronic hardware, everything he can get his hands on is getting torn up. It's a smashing, pounding and ripping that no plane can withstand. The X-Men see the plane flying uncontrollably from a distance as they get outside of the base, and Cyclops tells Storm to go to them and give Banshee a hand. But it's too late. The plane explodes in the air, and all the X-Men can do is watch it happen right before their eyes. Xavier, though, from a distance and in telepathic contact with Thunderbird, tells him to get out now. He yells to him to get himself off the plane now. But there is no reaction from John Proudstar, and the plane crashes. And Xavier experiences everything that John felt. as he perished in the following explosions right after the plane crashed. Xavier could not desert his pupil. Xavier could just not leave John Proudstar behind in the final agonizing moments of his life. The only difference between John and Xavier is that John is now dead and Xavier's life continues, with the experiences of all the pain and suffering John went through. Banshee, who was the only X-Men in actual close physical proximity to the crash, is lost. He shouts how he begged and pleaded John to get off the plane, but that he just wouldn't get off. Cyclops tries to console him, telling him that he knows and that it wasn't his fault. He tried his best. And as the team walks away from the plane wreck and John's burning corpse, Cyclops figures that something like this had to happen sometime. Sooner or later, death will happen to everyone in this business. It simply comes with wearing this uniform. Thanks for watching this video and I hope you enjoyed it. You can help growing this channel by liking, subscribing and sharing. This tells YouTube that the videos I'm making should be recommended to others and would be very much appreciated. See you next episode.